Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. We will, of course, gather the crowd as we proceed with the presentation today. I just want to take this opportunity to thank those of you that are joining us this afternoon. We have a number of things that we'd like to talk about today. But before we do, maybe let us just go to the Lord in prayer. Father, may the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight. May that which we speak on behalf of the issues that affect the Zambian people be born in honesty and with a desire to see the resolution of the many challenges that face us as a people. We thank you, Lord, for how you have placed Zambia above so many challenges and nations, because you want us to be the guiding light in terms of how nations should govern themselves and how we should live together in partnership as a people. I ask of you now to anoint the lips of clay as we continue to discuss matters pertaining to our nation. I ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. I would like to take this opportunity today, and of course you can call in some friends to join us. This is an impromptu appearance coming live to you today. We have read the unfortunate statement by one Mr. Zumani, who once served as a special assistant to the former President Lungu at State House. And the reason why I would like to make a comment on this is, first of all, to declare myself that we have nothing in common with Mr. Zumani, except that we are both Zambians and we are both created in the image of God. But in terms of our values, I think that we may not share the same values. I say so because there are many things that I can do and involve other people, but I will be very, very careful to ensure that when I involve someone's name into furthering my own political career or my own ambitions, it becomes immoral for you to take someone's name and place it within the context of the challenges that face you and use that individual as a stick to push or pivot yourself forward. So we feel very, very concerned about the statement that our colleague has written. And I must mention that in that statement, it is called 12 Dark Sides of HH, where he dedicated the first 4 sides to myself. And he went to town trying to twist and misquote various statements, some of which we have made, in order for him to advance an idea that the UPND-led government has lost the confidence and the trust and the respect of the people. And I think in a democracy, we are all free to say what we want. But I think it's immoral for somebody to try to use someone's name who doesn't hold similar views to him to advance his own personal views. This is what Mr. Zumani has done. And I usually don't go live to talk about an individual. But I would like to use this as a lesson, a message to the broader population of Zambia. And I only mention his name because, unfortunately, he is the one that has written that article. Let me be clear that the issue of the Patriotic Front leaving office when they did in 2021 had nothing to do with some of us. It had nothing to do with President Hakainde Hichilema. It was all because the Zambian people came to a conclusion that the Patriotic Front did not have the goods to make their lives better. They looked at the style of governance. They also looked at the behavior of the players in governance and decided that they were going to change government. That had nothing to do with Nevers Mumba. It had nothing to do with the one that they're talking about, HH. And I know that, you know, in Bemba we say, wow, watabula kawe pesho. And I think this is where we are. But we have a country to build, we have a nation to build, and our colleagues in the Patriotic Front, you did your very best, and that was your best. And now there are others that are running the affairs of this country. They need to be given an opportunity to do so as well, to their best of their ability. So I think that I needed to make this statement that we distance ourselves from the statement of Mr. Zumani, he tried to imply that myself and my team, the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, our team, we are no longer supporting President Hakainde Hichilema in his views and his direction, because according to him, we have realized that he's not going to make it in 2026 and that he has lost popularity. I think that is in his own head. And in a democracy, you are free to dream, you are free to make statements just like they were made before the 2021 elections. Our colleagues in the PF were laughing at us, at everybody in Zambia, to say that even when we want to vote us out, you will not vote us out. And yet they were voted out. And many statements were made to say some people would like us out in 2021, but Mwanyala, something like that. And yet the people still succeeded in removing them from office. Let me be clear. None of our arrogance or is going to keep us in a place of perpetuity. And I think that if we want to serve God's people, humility must be ahead of us. It's God who anoints and appoints leaders at different times. And he's not going to be appointing the same person or the same group all the time. He's going to appoint different people at different times. We are now in nation building, and it is important for us to know that God can use anybody to lead this country. And for now, President Hakainde Hichilema is the president of the Republic of Zambia. We may not agree with him on everything, just like we never agreed with President Kaunda on everything, President Chiluba on everything. But he's the one that God has put there in order to provide this leadership. Allow me now to respond to some of the things that Mr. Zumani said. For those of you that have had the opportunity to read that story entitled 12 Dark Sides of HH, and he dedicated the first 4 dark sides to myself to include me in his analysis. Let me start by stating our resolved position as the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy and myself. It is true that the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy have made a democratic decision, and they did so in 2021 in October, and resolved that we're going to join hands with the UPND and the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema in trying to undo the many challenges and many problems that were created by the previous regime. That includes ensuring that the rule of law comes back into the country. It includes the fight against corruption. It includes rescuing the economy from its crumbling. And so these are some of the commitments we have made to each other. And we have worked together, some of us in the background, to ensure that our colleagues succeed, because we believe that their success translates in the success of the Zambian people. Let me be clear from the beginning that a decision, it's our resolved position to join hands with our colleagues in the UPND. And we have joined hands on several issues, several issues, and will continue to do so. It is a problem to some individuals, especially our colleagues who were in government before. There is a big desire to ensure that this unity and partnership that has shown itself between ourselves and the UPND be discouraged using any way possible. And these are some of the efforts that our colleagues are making. Let me be clear. We have resolved that we are supporting our friends, and by comparison, there is no comparison between what HH is able to achieve from what he has put on the table and that which Mr. Lungu attempted to do. So therefore, we feel well placed to be able to provide this support to the United Party for National Development, and in particular, President Hakainde Hichilema. There's no hiding of that fact, because we've worked together so far, and it has been going on well. So Mr. Zumani's assessment that Nevers Mumba, like the other people that he has innocently mentioned, whom I don't think he has contacted, we are not in the space that you are talking about. It's you are dreaming, you are thinking about what you want to see happen. But we will not use your bitterness to lead our lives. We will not use your lack of faith in God and lack of faith in others' abilities to do something because you feel that way. So today, I would like the Zambians to move away from that type of politics, the politics of hatred. And I want our colleagues in whichever political party we are to be very careful that in our effort to discredit our opponents in politics, we should be careful that we are not just advancing the bitterness of loss, the bitterness of not feeling powerful like we used to feel. The Zambian people are the issue here, not how you feel, how important you feel, and how privileged you feel. The Zambian people are the issue here. And all of us must focus on ensuring that we work together to normalize the economy, where the living standards of our people could be affordable to every Zambian across this nation. And they are not going to be affordable just because we insult each other, especially those who created the mess that is trying to be resolved. So our position, number one, is that yes, we are resolved and we are working together with our colleagues to ensure that we hold their hands and they hold our hands to make sure that we provide the necessary rescue for our country from things that were pulling us back. That's the first thing. And I thought it was important for me to state that. Secondly, the issues that were raised by Mr. Zumani as an indication that I myself, sorry for using that kind of language, have changed my position from being a partner with President Hakainde Hichilema and from supporting his efforts to revive this country's economy. I want to answer some of those issues and restate our resolved position on the plight of local banks and the local business environment in the country. It is important for the Zambian people to know that yes, we did make a statement on the possession of Investrust Bank by the Bank of Zambia because of them not meeting the mark that has been set forth and the standards by the Bank of Zambia. And rightly so. If a bank fails to meet the grade, the bank does not continue to operate, making losses and affecting the overall economic symphony of the country. So we are not against the decision that the Bank of Zambia made. However, our point was we must now look into the problem that we've been facing of local private banks started by Zambian businessmen. There must be a way in which we can sustain them, number one. Number two, we must identify what is the major problem that the Zambian entrepreneurs or Zambian businessmen, the environment in the country, what kind of environment can we create to ensure that local banks begin to survive? Because international banks are still running. What is it they are doing right that they can continue to operate and our local banks are not continuing to operate? For those of you that would like to use this as a political weapon against the UPND or against ourselves who made a comment on this, is that let us not be forgetful. The issue of local banks crumbling and closing down does not start now. It started well before Mr. Hakainde Hichilema became president. Those of you that have got good memory remember during the days of MMD coming into power, Meridian Bank came and it shut down. We had Capital Bank, we had Commerce Bank, we have had several banks. Finance Bank, of course, has went into some kind of arrangement with other banks, and now we have got Investrust Bank, we got DBZ Bank. It is not something that started during the time of President Hakainde Hichilema. This is a long time problem where the local banks have been falling. And as leaders, we feel that with this new government of the UPND, and of course with us working hand in hand, it is important for us to understand that we have to find a solution. And I think UPND is better placed to find the problem that has faced the local banks, which also can be extended to local businessmen. Is the environment good enough? So let's frame policies that are going to make it easier for a Zambian to start a bank and the bank succeeds. No inefficiencies on the side of the businessman, but we are talking about policies that shall make it practical. And we think the UPND is better placed at the moment in their process of rescheduling the economic situation in our country to have that in mind as well. We thought that that was important for us to say. So our colleague used that to say, because we challenged or asked the question about the banks and the local banks going down, that we are standing against President Hakainde Hichilema. President Hakainde Hichilema is not the one who started this issue. This issue, he has found it, and these banks that are closing are just at the tail end of the many that others that have shut down. And we need to find a solution as a Zambian people to this problem. And that's what I wanted to say. And thirdly, I would like to say our resolved position on the interaction of the church and government has never changed. I'm a man of the collar myself. I started whatever I'm doing from just preaching on the injustices that I saw, on the weaknesses in the governance system that I saw, and continue to identify the fact that we need to work together to correct those weaknesses with a view of creating a better society for all of us. So we made it clear that the police who gave out the call out to Bishop Mukosa Chewe, I think that it was not done well, because at the end of the day, it comes at the back of a statement that the bishop made concerning the challenges that are facing the Zambian people, including load shedding, including the prices of commodities. And these are things that preachers talk about. And you must understand that preachers are allowed to preach any message that affects their congregants, as long as they don't break the law by either their actions or by their speech. The moment they break the law, it doesn't matter whether they are popes or archbishops or bishops, the law will take its course. But we can't stop a preacher from preaching on issues that affect the Zambian people. Yes, some of the preachers do it from a political point of view, but the congregation is not a collection of children. These are mature people that can tell that, here Pastor Vesu, Valuba, because they are not children. But the moment a pastor or a leader like myself breaks the law will take its course. And I thought that it is important for us to state here that preachers are allowed to preach the gospel. And I'm glad government agrees with us on this issue by having retracted that call out and changed their position on this matter. So basically, I thought that we needed to make that clear. However, we also wanted to make one statement in that area. We said this insinuation that comes to the Zambian people, other people on the African continent, that anything the police does is because the president told them. I think this is part of the toxic politics that we're dealing with today, and politics that are very limited. It's not the president who directs the IG. Yes, it is possible in the past, the Kaunda days, the MMD days, the PF days, now the UPND days. It is possible some overzealous government official can try to place pressure on some of these institutions to do what is not right. But I think that the way God created the world, you can't control all human beings at the same time. The police can take a case and bring it to you, but you can go to court, and the judge may not be as wicked as the policeman, or the policeman will not be as wicked as the judge. It's this democratic balance that we need to know, that it's not the president who instructs the police to do that. They also have a role to play. If the policeman stops you at the roadside and you haven't paid your tax and he pulls you on the side, you can't say that the president, let me call the president or the IG to see whether I should arrest you. The police makes a decision on the ground. It could be right, it could be wrong. That's why the courts exist. So we distance ourselves from the thought that this problem we are facing today is as a result of President Hakainde Hichilema telling the police to arrest the priest. I think that's malicious. You have no proof for that, and I think we should not peddle that, because that does not help any one of us. And I thought we needed to say that. And then our resolved position of working with a party like the UPND and any other political organization. You see, today as we speak, there is an imaginary organization which is not registered yet called UCA. UCA is being called an umbrella of political parties that are hoping to work together in order to assume power in 2026. You've never heard me start to criticize the individual members about their democratic right to belong to that organization, although it is imaginary, but it's there. They have chosen that to work together is important. That's what democracy calls for. And when MMD decides that they are partnering with the UPND, I don't know why it has become such a big deal for those who are working in an arrangement with other political parties, but they don't want, MMD or any other group to work in another configuration. And I think that is a lack of understanding how democracy works. And I think that we need to change our minds about that issue. And so we challenge our colleagues in the Yuka, where Mr. Zumani belongs. I think that you have a lot of work to do in that grouping. First of all, I think you need to resolve several issues, including the Patriotic Front and its entity, whether it really qualifies to be under UKA, under Mr. Mao Sampa, or under the former president, ECL. So I think that it is better in a democracy, work on your configuration, improve your configuration, sharpen your message, make your configuration legal so that democracy can continue to grow in our country. But for you to come after Nevers Mumba, the MMD, and start to put a wedge between Nevers Mumba and partners that we are working with so that you can advance your Yuka or UKA vision, I think that is childish and the politics are cheap. We remain committed to serving the Zambian people as the movement for multi-party democracy. Like we said earlier on, we are about to make our own statement on how we are moving forward as a political party. The dates have been set now, and we shall be announcing to the nation what MMD is about to do and how it is going to refresh itself in order to face the future. For now, I want to be clear. I want to be absolutely clear. The decision to partner with our colleagues in the UPND is a decision we democratically made as a political party. And Mr. Zumani, your desire to see us rise up against President Hakainde Hichilema and fight him will not be fulfilled, because that is your agenda. Our agenda is to fix the broken economy, which you colleagues broke. And our commitment is to work together with progressive Zambians, not just UPND, but progressive Zambians who would like to see a civilized way of governing ourselves, not based on cadarism, not based on hatred, not based on tribalism, not based on any sectional belief. I think Zambians must come first. As we face 2026, we would like to ask our colleagues that Mr. Zumani represents, that let's focus on the Zambian people and their needs to have a better life. This thing of hatred that we have seen, even if you oppose the government that is in place, oppose it reasonably, oppose it on issues that you are concerned about, but don't use bitterness and assumptions to say that because Nevers Mumba made a statement on Trust Bank, then he's fighting against HH. No, HH doesn't run Bank of Zambia. HH does not run Invest Trust. HH was not there when the other private banks were being liquidated. He is just president now. And we are now saying to him, you have an opportunity to correct the mess that has been happening over the years. The same thing with the priest. We think that the priest should be careful what we say in the pulpit. We should take responsibility of every statement we make, but we should never be curtailed in expressing our godly vision for the people of our congregation and the people of Zambia. So we thought that it is important for us to restate our resolved positions and advise our brother, Mr. Zumani, and the group that he represents. We are not at war with you. Work on reorganizing yourself. Democracy needs you. Zambia needs you. But in your putting your cases across, let's be mature, Christian in view and in thought and in speech, and being aware that being ugly just because you are not in government, or just because your tribe is not in government, I think we are stepping on dangerous grounds. People can know when you criticize from a good heart, but people can also know if you have a problem beyond politics. And some of our colleagues, when you speak, it's like we can read from your speech that it's no longer about the Zambian people. It's about you not being privileged as you were privileged yesterday. And nobody else is going to get privileged as long as you are not feeling privileged. That's not, the Zambian politics was not created for you alone. It was created to create a system of governing ourselves where every Zambian, like Kenneth Kaunda used to say, man north, man south, man east, and man west, can all benefit from the resources of this country and the freedoms that are available to all Zambians. So our colleagues, we come to you in peace, saying that that statement you have read, 12 Dark Sides of HH, it is a very misinformed article. It doesn't mean well. It's written in bitterness, and I think that we need and we can do better than that as a people. Well, with these few words, I thank you for joining me today, and also to state our position. Our eyes are focused on the Zambian people. They are focused on the future and also on the healing of the economy of our country. I thank you, and may God richly bless you today. Thank you.